I'd like to ask you, Erik Oliver, what is the biggest risk?
Yeah, for me, I didn't have any investment properties when I started doing cost segregation. And so by working with clients all the time and seeing the value of owning real estate, I've started to get into real estate myself. And I think the biggest risk for me is I went back and forth. Do I need a property management group? Do I not? Do I manage these myself? I actually live by my investment properties. Don't step over what is the saying? Don't step over a dollar to save a penny. You know what I mean? Let the experts do it. There's a reason that they're property management experts. There's a reason that your CPA should be filing your taxes and you shouldn't be doing it yourself unless you know what you're doing. And so I think the biggest risk for me that I've had to learn is just that let the experts do it. And I see it all the time in my industry where people do their own taxes on, I've seen people who make, in the millions of dollars and have very sophisticated tax returns, and they're doing their own taxes on TurboTax because they don't want to pay a wealth advisor or a CPA who has the experience. And I'm like, what you're going to pay that qualified CPA who understands real estate to do your taxes, you're going to get back tenfold in the amount of deductions and the reduction in your tax liability. And so I think if I could just share one thing, and that is surround yourself. You can't be an expert in everything, right? And so know where your faults are and be humble enough to say, I'm not a tax expert or I'm not a property management expert. I'll tell you just a quick story. I learned it the hard way. My very first investment property was actually when I lived in Virginia. I moved out of Virginia and I moved to New York. And I said, I don't want to sell my house. I'm going to just rent it in Virginia and I'm going to do it myself. So I put an ad out there. I met with some potential tenants. I found some. They seemed like the nicest people in the world. I didn't know I should do a background check. I didn't know that I should run their credit. This is my first gig, right? So I'm like, oh, they're nice. They sat down. They talked to my kids. We had a great conversation. I rent the house to them. I moved to New York and I never hear from them again, right? They paid their rent the first 2 months. Great, on time, was perfect. But then the people that kicked them out of their old place started garnishing their paychecks. And that's when they stopped paying my rent. And had I done a background check, this all would have showed up, but I didn't want to pay the 10% management fee. I'm like, I want that for me. And so surround yourself with, I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I did, but I didn't. And I should have been humble enough to say, Erik, you don't know what you're doing. And so humble yourself and say, what are you good at? And you be the expert in that, but we can't be experts in anything, in everything. And so surround yourself with people who are good property managers, good lenders, good CPAs, good attorneys, good insurance agents, right? And let them be the experts and take their advice and be okay paying for that expertise because you're going to come out ahead in the long run.